Kansas, Congressman Tim Huelskamp.
Thank you, Jenny Beth, and it is a pleasure to be here today, though I must admit I wish we were doing actions across the street to take care of this in the legislative sphere, and I can come back to that. But let's recall some famous words in history. When in the course of human events it becomes necessary for one people to dissolve the political bands which have connected them with one another. The opening words of our Declaration of Independence, and in that Declaration of Independence, our founders outlined 27, remember that number, 27 grievances. I will say perhaps my favorite grievance is this. He has erected a multitude of new offices and sent hither swarms of officers to harass our people. That sounds very familiar. He also had a grievance they outlined for suspending our own legislature, and that's the one I'd like to talk about today. And the king declaring himself instead invested with power to legislate for us in all cases whatsoever. Ladies and gentlemen, that is the case before the court today. Can this administration, can this president, can any president, can they be a king like King George and legislate for us in all matters whatsoever? The clear answer is no. The clear answer that should come from this court, this is a very simple decision. Because the legislative power is invested in Congress, not in the White House, ladies and gentlemen. Under this law, there have been more than 1,200 temporary waivers granted by this administration. Come from Kansas, I must admit, those waivers were granted by our former governor, Kathleen Sebelius. 1,200 temporary waivers, 35 executive unilateral rewrites of the law. And we sit here today, we are talking about only one of those rewrites. Members of the court, the President of the United States is not the supreme legislature. He is not the supreme legislator. He is not the dictator. He is not the king. And that's what our founders said in one of those 26 grievances. So it's a very simple issue. Who makes the decision? Folks elected by the people that go through a process in Congress, or one man sitting in office with his pen and his phone. It's pretty clear. It was pretty clear in 1776, but I'll tell you, King George didn't like that grievance, ladies and gentlemen. President Obama doesn't like that grievance. He has his pen and a phone. He doesn't have to wait for 2 months for the ship to arrive in America to impose his will. And that is what has happened 35 times in this rewrite. Barack Obama has disregarded the law. He has failed to prosecute crimes, failed to execute the law, has twisted the law, has acted contrary to the law, and has attempted to create new law. Ladies and gentlemen, it's a simple issue. Members of the court, 9-0. Who makes the decision? The American people make the decision. But one thing I want to remind you, which is interesting, every time you deal with arbitrariness in government, every time you deal with tyranny, who is always exempted from the law? The lawmakers themselves. Don't forget, the Supreme Court of the United States, for them personally, this is only a theoretical issue. Obamacare is not imposed on members of the U.S. Supreme Court. It is not imposed on the President of the United States. It's not imposed on every member of the administration. It's not imposed on 2 million federal workers in this town. But it is imposed, it's forced upon every American across this country. Even if you like your health care, obviously you cannot keep it. Even if you like your health care premium and you didn't want it to go up, it went up. Ladies and gentlemen of the court, it's very clear. Do your job, read the Declaration of Independence, and recognize the supreme lawmaker is in the U.S. Congress. It's not in the courts. It's certainly not in the White House. The law is very clear. Follow the law, Mr. President. Courts, do your job. Recognize at the end of the day, the people make the decisions. We will not stand for another rewrite of this law. We will not stand for a court being above the law. We expect a 9-0 decision if they're going to follow the rules and the expectations and the history of this great country. When in the time, in the course of human events, we will stand up We will stand up because we understand that we have pledged our lives, our fortune, our sacred honor. We expect the court to do the same. God bless you. A 9-0 decision should be what we have on this court. Thank you.